tracks, boy.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy, Big fucking Philly. And as always, welcome to Vince Talk right here with Mr. White Chocolate, Mr. Boss Man 407, and motherfucking CT. What's going on, fellas?
Oh boy, I am feeling a 24-year-old deja vu.
It's bad. Uh, man, we'll,
I
we'll
can
get
go out
into
and
it.
have a beer with this deja vu.
We'll get into it a little bit in regards to this playoff game, and I'll say pick two or three talking points. We'll move on because there's a lot of stuff that we gotta cram in within this time period for the offseason talk, which is our main concern right now. Is the offseason now 'cause at this point, since obviously we're out of the playoffs. Um, so I guess Mr. Bossman, I'm gonna let you go first and kind of unload real quick. Let's get into a kumbaya session, and then we'll move on to next year. Or
Well, Timon and Pumbaa, before you tried to come to me and say Hakuna Matata, because it is a wonderful phrase. Unfortunately, it's really hard to blame the game itself because of the environment that it's in. However, we allowed ourselves to be put in that situation. I
we did.
mean, when you go from number one in the AFC to, hey, at least for the number one AFC East team with a number two seed, and then everything just derails from there. And oh, by the way, that's rather reminiscent of the year before, and the year before, and the year before. Do you get my drift? It's 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 just like I know every Miami Dolphins fan is tired. I know every Miami Dolphins
Sure.
fan felt like this year could have been the year. I know that every Miami Dolphins fan probably 1 week to the day today would have been like, at least we got a playoff win. But we couldn't even get that. Could we have won? I do think there was a shot. Should we have taken care of business in Buffalo? You can argue we could have taken care of business in Tennessee. If we win in Tennessee, could you argue we would have had the fire and the passion to prove a point to beat Dallas? We don't know, ladies and gentlemen. You can say if we won this game, if we won that game, but winning this game could have translated to losing the next game because you never know what's going to happen. But let's get off the whole philosophical stuff and let's get back to it. I needed to see more than 190 something yards, one touchdown, and two interceptions from the quarterback who is entering his fifth year. And we are still 4.5 something years later trying to figure out if this is the guy who is going to be our franchise quarterback or if he's going to be Tannehill 2.0. And before anyone throws stats at me, yes, I can read. I have glasses on, so hopefully I can read. I do know of his accolades this year, but even Tua said himself, he would rather have 100 yards passing through the whole year as long as we have that trophy. Is it great that he is a first selection Pro Bowler? Yes. Is it great that he led the league in passing top 5, top 10 quarterback in every other accolade? Yeah. But we were also in control against these teams that had whether a bad defense or a bad offense or both. The way that I view this game was an entire reflection of the season. Tua is able to be calm if he knows he's going to have another possession. Oh, I messed up. That's cool. Let me go out there because that team's not going to score points either. We'll be in the game. Let me go light it up next round. But the second it becomes, look, every time you touch that ball, it's going to matter. Do I need to say less with what happened in Kansas City? Did they stop our run? Yeah, because you have Steve Spagnuolo on there as the defensive coordinator. Did we think we were going to have a dominating run game? The Chiefs have one of the best run defenses. Did we think we were going to be able to just go out there and allow a banged up mid linebacker core and somewhat secondary to contain Travis Kelce and for, Patrick Mahomes to not be Patrick Mahomes? Come on. Tua needed to make every possession count. There were so many guys open if anyone watches, the footage after the game, but it's like he just channels in, he hones in, and if he's not there, he's like I love Tua Tagovailoa, by the way. I feel like I'm about to be going from here to over here, especially in the eyes of people who are watching and thinking, oh, you're just a Tua hater. Now, no, I am not. I'm a Miami Dolphin fan. Whatever player does great for us, I support. Whatever player is starting to hinder us, I'm going to talk. I need to start showing that under pressure, under constant pressure and duress, because he's a good quarterback. There's a lot of mediocre quarterbacks. He's a good quarterback. But if we have a chance of getting that ring, and if he has a chance of getting that big bag that he deserves, he needs to become a great quarterback. And that's how I view this game. If we would have had a great quarterback, we would have gone to the frozen tundra and won. But because we had a good quarterback, it was a struggle.
Hondo. CT, I know you gave it on your show last night, but I'll get you run down right quick. What's your takeaways from this game last night?
Oh man.
Well, Saturday night.
The thing that freaking annoyed me, and again, I understand Boss Man's, opinion on that. I do think that again, what I think the problem is no matter what happens, we have the injuries, but we can never get on the same page. It's one fucking game. The offense is balling out. The defense is struggling. The special teams is struggling. This team can't put a game together. All aspects of that team on Saturday were trash. Tua had a couple bad passes, absolutely. There are things that he needs to improve on. The communication issue or whatever the hell he's talking about, that kind of fucking rubs me the wrong way. It's like, look, you've ran enough plays now. Then we got Mike McDaniel, who's a great play designer, but can't call plays worth of shit. You go back to that game talking about reminiscing when we were doing all the fucking bubble screens. I was having flashbacks to fucking Adam Gase. I was like, what in the hell are we doing here? And I get it. I think that, Tua early on in the game, we wanted to run the ball, which is great. We had some success in the first quarter, but after you've ran the same 3 run plays 5 times, the defenses knows what they're looking for, just like the passing game. And Tua himself, you go in and you decide the first throw you're going to make is down the field. You overthrow it and it gets intercepted. It's like you just watched Patrick Mahomes throw 3 incompletions trying to gauge how the wind was fucking working, and you just want to come right out and just start slinging the fucking ball. It's like, it is what it is. You got pressure in your face. Now, again, the point of the pressure situation, he's been good against the blitz for God knows how long. That's, for me, it's moving the goalpost, and that aspect it's like the long ball and outside the numbers. He has the ability to do it. The problem is it a scheme situation? Is it a play situation? Because, again, we talk about, wide receivers not knowing their assignments. Freaking Cedric Wilson is being told by two on every freaking play what is to
He's like,
cover.
is it me or is it him?
I hear you just fine, Big Philly.
Okay, so it's got to be him. He's cutting in and out. What's going on,
Oh
Cap?
shit! Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
There you are.
I was saying, long story short, man, the whole team, Cater who doesn't know where to go, Cedric Wilson doesn't know what he's doing, players don't know their assignments, what in the hell is going on? Special teams suck. We couldn't punt the ball to freaking what the hell as long as the punt was like 25, 30 yards. I don't know, man. It was just a complete, cluster, on Saturday. And there's a lot of shit that needs to be fixed moving forward. The problem is do we have the money to do it? That's the question.
My biggest takeaway from Saturday is we still have a lot of the same questions. That's my biggest thing. Like, you're getting ready to pay this dude to extend them for a long-term deal, and you still got
Very costly.
like
long-term
my
deal.
thing is, all right. My thing is, so year one was, can he rebound from the hip? All right, he rebounded from the hip. Then year two was the concussions. Can he stay? Or the year two was, is he durable? Can he get through a whole season? But then again, he was losing back and forth. They didn't really start him. He was going back and forth with Fitzpatrick that year. The following year was, he comes into the year. Now it's his team. He gets hurt. Boom, boom, boom. Now there's durability questions. Can he get through a full season? Right? Every year there's something with him. Every year there's a hurdle that he has to get over. Now it's, can he beat 500 teams? Dude, why is it that we have to go and individualize certain accolades, right? Why can't you just have a well-rounded game? Why is it that we have to beg for, can he throw the deep bomb? Can he throw short? Can he spread the ball? Now can he get past the first read? Can he beat 500 teams? These are things now. It's like every year it's something else. And it's like, dude, when are you going to put it all together and have a successful season to get us to the promised land? Because at the end of the day, we haven't even had a fucking. Now we're the longest streak. Now we're the longest streak that we haven't won a playoff game after Detroit won on Sunday. And it's like, dude, we deserve better than that as Dolphin fans. And, Cap, you can attest to this. We've been on these Twitter spaces and, I've been screaming, let it burn. But these are things that, you got to think about when you're approaching these contract talks. You got to, and again, you guys just mentioned, CT just mentioned it now, and we're going to get into the offseason talk, right? And we're going to get into the salary cap and some moves that they can make and a little bit of the draft. But as you come into that, we got a whole lot of free agents that are available that we need to bring back if they want to run it back. And some of them are key athletes. So, top of that, you got to think about, well, you got to pay this guy because unfortunately for us, Daniel Jones set the market. So he's going to make more than $40 million when we have to re-sign him after next season because he'll get re-signed. I'll be surprised if they re-sign him now, and they may to eliminate that $25 million extension. I don't know if that works like that. But if they don't and they wait until next season, he's gonna command, and he does the same shit that he did this year and pats those stats up against the weaker teams, which we're gonna go over that too on the teams that were announced that we're gonna be playing next season. You're gonna be paying him more than $40 million a year. He's gonna command $50 million a year, and it's gonna leave us in a bigger predicament than what we're already in with our cap. So there's a lot of questions that haven't been answered. The only question that has been answered this season is his durability question. Everything else is still unanswered because he hasn't put it all together. We saw that product against Buffalo. We saw that product against Baltimore. We saw that product against Kansas City twice. We saw that product against what was the other team that we lost to? Philly. We saw that product that he buckles when he faces these defenses. We shit. Not even a 500 team. He buckled against Tennessee. We should have blown Tennessee out the water. Let's be real. So you get into these situations when you're playing these 500 teams and you're playing these good defenses, right? Kansas City, arguably the best defense in the NFL. I know Cleveland is the best defense in the NFL, but they're right there. They're right there. They got a bad motherfucker on that front four named Chris Jones. And Tua got well acquainted with Chris Jones on Saturday. Again. So, I think Tua gets ahead of himself. I think that, again, this is a team that, this is a league where they figure shit out real quick. They don't have an answer for that two deep high safety. They really don't. They don't. The only time they're successful is when defense is going to man coverage. That's why the best team that we could have played in the playoffs would have been Cleveland, because Cleveland is a man-to-man defense. So we got torched. He missed a lot of wide open reads. A lot of them. Continuing to force the ball to Tyreek, which is something that we've been saying week after week after week the past 6 weeks on what they need to get away from. They got Waddle back, still focused on Tyreek. Didn't spread the ball around, and all these things add up to why we lost, and it becomes a team loss. I'm not gonna put the whole blame on Tua, but at the end of the day, people need to realize he is the quarterback. He is supposed to be the leader, so he is going to get the blame, whether you like it or not. That is the nature of this game. The first person they're gonna point fingers at is Tua Tagovailoa. And then they're going to point the finger at Mike McDaniels. And then they'll start pointing the finger at whoever else they want to point it at. We could blame Gator Kohu for allowing them to continue to extend drives. But then again, the defense bent. They didn't break. How many field goals they let up?
Oh, come on. You mean when Cater Kohu had a freaking Brandon Jones is yelling at him to cover the underneath guy on the first touchdown where the dude was wide open on the drag. Kohu was told, stay here. When he comes across the field, you cover him. What does he do? He drops back into fucking coverage and lets a wide open touchdown. And I get it. That's not the only touchdown that was, given up. And we did hold them to a couple field goals. And I agree, given the fucking injuries, they played decent.
They played well, barring injuries, barring that they couldn't really get a huge pass rush in during and really unfavorable conditions. They played decent. I'm not saying they were great or elite or what we've seen the past couple of weeks, but they did enough to assist us in getting a lead in that game. Our offense did not produce a lead in that game.
Not to mention Patrick Mahomes. As soon as he saw man coverage, Mahomes was like, "Oh, all right, hold my beer."
Dude, the dude called out Duke Riley before he even blitzed.
Yeah.
Before he even showed
45's coming, 45's coming, 45's coming. Yeah.
Before he even showed the blitz. The dude lives, breathes, eats football.
You know what's crazy to me? The fact that some of these fans in our fan base legitimately preferred for us to go into Kansas City and face the Chiefs because the Chiefs are having a down year versus host a playoff game in Miami. Even though it's the Buffalo Bills, you beat the Bills that game, you pretty much know what to expect the next week too.
100%.
Minus some tinkering here and there because they're not going to run the same playbook.
Playing the Bills. We played the Bills 3 times last year. We played them 3 times
last year.
What's the difference? What? You know what the difference is? You wouldn't be in Orchard Park. You would have played them back here again. That's the difference. But anyways,
fans really wanted to go to KC instead.
But you know what? That's their fault. But you know what? Now we lost that game. Our season's over, and time to look to the future.
I
And
love that
so
transition.
some of the teams that we're playing, we're gonna start with the teams that we're gonna play next season. And then we'll go into salary cap and then the free agency and then the draft. Real quick, okay? So some of the teams that we're playing at home, we have the Arizona Cardinals coming down here to Miami. We have San Francisco, New England, the Jets. We have Vegas, and we have Jacksonville and Tennessee all coming to Miami. And our away games are Indianapolis, LA Rams, Houston Texans, Seattle, Cleveland, Green Bay, and then obviously our division games. So that's who we, in a nutshell, are playing next season, right? And it's a decently tough schedule again. You got some tough guys there. You got some tough teams. I don't really see walk away games here. Jordan Love, that Green Bay game completely flips with the way he's been playing this postseason. You have Seattle, obviously Geno. That might be a little bit different now that Pete Carroll is in the management side of the NFL now at this point in his career. Cleveland depends on what Watson you get, but there's still a great defense that you got to worry about. LA is going to be another one. On it depends on who's the coach. If Pierce is the coach, it's going to be another. It's going to be a tough game. You have Arizona. I'm not really. I kind of want to see what they do with Kyler. They did have an impressive win over Dallas. So that obviously Kyler is a dog. But I want to see what they bring in for help around him because right now all they have is Hollywood Brown. So you have some tough matchups. You definitely got some tough matchups. You got the Rams, you got Indy. Indy's another great defense. The Rams is another great defense. Houston obviously playing phenomenal in the postseason. So you have Jacksonville, another front runner, who just didn't put it together this year for whatever reason because they were expected to win that division. And then Tennessee, obviously there's a coaching change there too. So we got to see what they do there. Um, but that's what we play at home. Oh, that. Give me a second.
Well, I need to get going
My
here in a
bad.
minute. I gotta take care of this and that. But if I can, I want to say that as far as the schedule we have, I mean, look, we're the number two team in AFC East for the second year in a row, so we're definitely going to be having some interesting opponents. We all learned this year, we thought we were going to have a lot of tough opponents. They became not up to par from where they were supposed to be. When it comes to what I think is going to happen in the draft, I am one of those people that doesn't pay too much attention to college because on Saturdays, I give my kiddo and fiance all the time in the world. On Sundays, she gives me all the time in the world for the Miami Dolphins. So, as far as college people go, not really too sure how to view it. And when it comes to the salary cap, look, it's simple. If Stephen Ross wants to write that check, he will turn a salary into bonus. He'll make it work. You get rid of, or you either restructure or get rid of Xavier Howard. You restructure or get rid of Emmanuel Agba. Those
And
two players alone, you will
you can
either
restructure.
A,
So that's what we're going into now, right? So we're negative 41 million into the cap.
yeah,
Going into this offseason. We have 27 free agents combined. A lot of them, obviously, I already know off the list that we're not bringing back. I didn't see any sort of benefit of them even being here. And then you got some key guys that I think had productive years. But the thing is too is like so right now our needs are tight end and offensive line. But
look, all I want is ABG and Wilkins back. And then do whatever the hell you want, coaches. It's only like get
and that's the
Wilkins and
thing. So
ABG.
Wilkins going to command more or less around 20 to 24 million dollars a year. And AVG is probably going to command about 10 million a year. You also have um the key guys out of the 27, I think, Jerome Baker. Reason being is obviously now you have a need. at that linebacker role, especially that we don't know when we're getting Phillips and Chubbs back. So Jerome bringing him back should be a priority. Um, if you don't bring back Wilkins, Raekwon Davis is another need at that point because now you're losing an interior defensive lineman and you got to replace him. I would prefer I would prefer Wilkins over Davis all day, every day, and then some. But you can't lose two bodies. I mean, you got to keep one out of the two. Raekwon is a cheaper option. Obviously, you'd even pay him less, more probably lower than even Siler. But I prefer the continuity between Siler and Wilkins rather than
Salt and
Siler
pepper,
and Davis.
baby.
Yeah, so all day, every day is night and day. Um, the biggest question mark, Deshaun Elliott, whether you bring him back or not. Obviously, you got Brandon Jones also, so you gotta make a choice there, Jones or Elliott. Jones is a harder hitter. He's definitely a hitter, better box guy. Elliott's a little bit more on the coverage side, probably a little bit more well balanced because he is on the coverage side compared to Jones. You have Robert Hunt is a priority. Um, you have Kendall Lamb, I would say, is a priority as well, especially depending on what Armstead decides to do, since now he's
Yeah,
contemplating retirement,
he
which will help a
sure
lot
is.
of our salary cap needs as well if he decides to retire, because you're taking him completely off the books at that point. You're just giving him his guaranteed money. Um, you have Van Ginkel, obviously, Christian Connor, and Isaiah Wynn. Cedric Wilson, I can let him walk. We'll find a bigger guy. Uh, I probably prefer Chase Claypool over him right now.
Oh, yeah.
And hold on, hear me out. And the reason being is he's a big physical receiver, and you could flex him to the tight end if need be, because he does get his hands dirty. So you have multiple uses out of Chase. Those are probably the ones I would focus on. I wouldn't bring back Savon Ahmed because you have Jeff Wilson. I wouldn't bring back Eli Apple, Jake Bailey. Braxton's another question mark. I like Braxton, and he gets his hands dirty. Justin Bethel, he could walk. Elijah Campbell can walk. River Craycraft, he could probably walk. Um, Jonathan Harrison, we didn't see him, so he could walk. Tyler Croft, he didn't even beat Smite. He can walk. I don't even think he's seen the field like that. Um, Calvin Nunson, he can walk. And yeah, that's where you're kind of at that point. So those are your kind of your free agents there. So yeah, again, we're 41 million over the cap. I ran some numbers on what we can do to open up. And what I did was I restructured Bradley Chubbs, I restructured Jalen Ramsey, and Tyreek Hill. It probably went all through bonus money. We were able to save 14, 6, and 12. Traded away Xavier Howard. I have been reading that we can open up 14 million, but I have a feeling it's similar to what we did with Byron Jones, and it's a post June cut. I'd rather trade him away before the draft and try to get some sort of draft compensation, whether it's a third or a fourth or even a fifth round pick, just to get something in return for him, or we can replace him with a player. That's just my opinion. I think a team that would probably be willing to trade for him is Minnesota. Obviously there's a lot of familiarity there with Brian Flores, and I think that you could probably get him there for a fourth round pick, and they may budge for that fourth round pick. Um, you have Zach Seiler. I restructured, was able to save 5.1. I opted to trade away Mike White. There's no need to have him here. If you have Skylar Thompson, if he is that backup that you're saying he is, trade him away. You save 3.5 million. I don't care where you trade him to. I think the team that would probably budge to trade for him is the New York Jets, but I would prefer, obviously, he is a quarterback, not to trade within our division or even within our conference. Terron Armstead, I restructured him, but obviously there is an opportunity where he may retire. But with the restructure, we could save about 8.5 million. Emmanuel Agba, you can't trade him, you can't cut him now with this need at that outside linebacker position. So you will definitely have to restructure. You can say 7.5 million if you can restructure him, and it'll probably all go towards bonus. You have Alec Ingold 1.7, Durham Smythe 1.2, Austin Jackson. That's nickels on the dollar. So I was able to create $21 million in open cap space, along with covering the deficit that we were at 41 million. So that's what I was able to do with those 11 guys. And then at that point, you got 21 million that you can figure out a way to bringing back some of these free agents, right? Bring back the Christian Wilkins, the Andrew Van Ginkel, which Christian he already has an offer on the table with Miami, and I have a feeling it's going to be around 18 million with incentives. That's what I think is the offer. That's not confirmed, but I think that's probably where they're at. You bring back LA Van Ginkel because now you don't know when you're going to get back some of your linebackers back. So bring back Van Ginkel, Christian, and I would say Robert Hunt and Connor Williams are the four priorities. That's where I'm at. And you could probably bring back Christian. If you can get him at that 18 million, let him test the market, let him see what they're getting. I don't see somebody giving him more than 18. But then again, it's the free agent market. Everybody overpays. Connor, I'd prefer to bring him back at guard and draft a center. But you could probably get him here at about 8, 9 to $10 million. Let's say 8 to 10. And what was the other one?
ABG.
Robert Hunt. AVG, yeah, AVG is about 9 mil. And you're gonna have to bring back Robert Hunt, which is probably gonna be like a 4-year, $60 million deal, kind of similar to what you got with Armstead. So that's probably it's gonna get expensive, and you don't have a lot of play. You don't have a lot of play. You really
Sure
don't.
will. And on that note, my brothers, I must depart.
Later, Tyler. As always,
If
brother.
you guys want to come by after the show, watch this whole show. Don't you dare leave before this closes out. And be sure to even watch that beautiful, sexy outro music and videograph that they put together. Shout out to Miami Dolphins Fan Talk, Miami Dolphins Talk Show Network, all of them, Big Philly CT, Mr. White Chocolate, everybody that comes up on here.
White chocolate still hasn't
Um,
come back up that piece of doo doo.
well, you know it. So don't be a piece of doo doo. But no, but yeah, if you guys want to come by, at Mr. Bossman 407 on TikTok, we're trying out a brand new. Well, for me, it's brand new. It's a very interesting indie style, but very hilarious game tonight. And then we will be doing some more stuff as well. I'm doing a trivia night tomorrow. Trivia, Family Feud style. So we'll be getting that going. I'll be doing my best white boy Steve Harvey impersonation with my bald head. So I'm a quarter way there.
Good luck with that.
But yeah, right. I don't have his smile. I definitely don't. Steve Harvey's the man. But fins up. I know we're in the off season now, but all of our questions will unfortunately have to wait for the next 8 to 9 months. So let's have fun. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's remember that as much as we love our team, it is just a game. It is just something that we do to enjoy and we watch and we love. We all have families. We all have friends. We all have lives that we cherish and love. And this team makes it that much little better. And the community that we're all in definitely helps. So much love to everybody in the Miami Dolphins community. And I give you guys a fins up, and we'll see you next time.
Can't do that no more. It was retired.
Oh, well, I don't care.
Oh well, can't do that anymore. It's trademarked.
I
Margarita.
know how dumb.
No,
But,
it's funny. It's funny that they wait for Jimmy Buffett to die to decide to do that. Because like
right,
Jimmy really wanted that. But okay, whatever, dude.
for real.
You know what? If I'm the Dolphins, I'm removing Land Shark beers from my stadiums.
Right? But we'll definitely get at it, and I'll catch you guys later. Miami Dolphins for the win. How about that? See you guys.
For the win!
For the win! For the fin!
They'll come up with some lame one that we're not gonna get used
Oh
to.
my god, I know.
So, like, it's all right. But anyways, so depending on who they decide to bring back, right? Whether it's Christian Wilkins, whether it's Van Ginkel, whether it's Raekwon Davis, whoever it is that they decide that they want to bring back, The thing is now, because of our limitations in our cap space, you create other needs going into free agency, going into the NFL draft. So right now, currently, our biggest needs are tight end and the offensive line, creating depth at the offensive line, and getting some better pieces in there. That is the two biggest needs right now that the Miami Dolphins have. Among other needs, I think that obviously once you move on from Xavier Howard, you create a cornerback need at that point. When you allow Christian Wilkins to walk, you create an interior defensive line need. So these are needs that you're going to start creating now at this point, going into this offseason. And we're going to have to figure out how to fill these holes, right? Um, so I kind of did it through the draft because of our limitations with our cap space. You know, if we, let's say if he is able to open up 21 million, which is I think the number, um, I think that's going to be the number that they want to target. Um, and that's obviously keeping Armstead here, right? Even though Armstead's only good for 2 games, these are some of the scenarios that I drafted up within the draft, going through the draft. And CT, you can talk about this a little bit as we go into it. So I did a couple, rough mock drafts. Obviously, in this one, I went with Mims out of Georgia, the tackle. I drafted a tight end to cover that tight end need Sanders. I drafted a running back, more physical running back, and obviously this is kind of a homer feel. Frank Gore Jr., um, Layden Robinson, the guard out of Texas A&M, and North Carolina State, Dalen McMahon at center. I was able to pull a center off. These also don't have any trades. Again, going tackle, Sanders at tight end, linebacker, Damis Johnson, Miles Frazier, the guard from LSU, and Cypress the second. I can't say this dude, Fentrell. Frentrell. Another one here. Obviously, that when we create that need at the corner position, when getting rid of Xavier Howard, we don't know what we got out of Cam Smith because we haven't seen him. So this one here specifically, I went in knowing that we're gonna lose X, knowing that we're gonna lose Wilkins, knowing that we have a tight end need, and knowing that we're going to have a need in the offensive line because we're probably gonna lose either one of the two, whether it's Robert Hunt or Connor Williams. So I went Nate Wiggins here in the first round with the 24th overall pick. Chris Jenkins, the defensive inside defense interior defensive lineman out of Michigan. Cade Stover, tight end out of Ohio State. Jack Nelson, tackle out of Wisconsin, and J.C. Davis, tackle out of New Mexico, as some options there. Again, same thing. Jordan Morgan, Wingo, defensive interior defensive end or defensive line. Cade Stover, Sam Hartman. I went quarterback here because we created a need by getting rid of Mike White. Well, that's obviously in theory as well. And then Brent, the tight end out of Utah, who this one's kind of curious too. Brent out of Utah, he didn't play last season, but the first 2 seasons he had productive years. So I kind of want to see, that might be a sleeper there, a little diamond in the rough, because he sat out last season, whether it was from injury or whether personal choice. But that would be an interesting pick there at the 246 pick or the 245th pick there in that later in the draft. Here, this is if Miami decided to, you know, draft insurance policy for Tua Tagovailoa. I went Michael Penix Jr. in the first round. Jackson Powers Johnson, the center out of Oregon in the second round. Cade Stover, Tyrone Hopper, J.C. Davis. And then the last one I did was Mims, Denzel Burke, Joaquavis Marks. I can't say that guy's name. I'm sorry. I just butchered the living crap out of it. Layden Robinson and Brent. Brent is the second one. I can't say his last name. So that's kind of where I'm at with some of these mock drafts. I'm not able to, for whatever reason, I can't at the moment screen share. This is why I did the photos rather than screen share and go through it one by one with you guys. What's going on, Huevo? Fitz take CB and Canes. What's going on, guys? I'm gonna drop the link here in a little bit to let some of you guys up. Well, I would love to have you, bro, talk about that Lambo game. That Lambo. Like, what is it? Drop a little cheese, okay? So I gotta respect, man. I have a lot of respect. He's earned, not that I have, because I didn't have a lot of respect for Jordan Love. He's earned a lot of the respect this year, the way he's played. Definitely proved my ass wrong. But then again, it don't take much because I did predict KC to go fourth last year, and I was hella wrong. So, but nonetheless, he's had a great productive year. So I love Will if you come up if you're able to. That's cool. If not, it's all right too. But that's kind of where I'm at. CT, what do you think should be the biggest need in the first round going into next year's draft or this year's draft?
It's got to be offensive line, and it's got to be a center. I think, to be
The thing
honest,
is
man,
there,
if
the
you can
problem
find
with
a
the
good
center.
center.
The problem with the
Good.
center is that there's not a lot. There's not a lot of options in that first round, late in the first round when we pick. That's why I went tight end. That's why I went tackle. That's why I went corner. And there's a couple safeties. That's another position to look out for. The safety position. You losing Elliott. There's a possibility you're gonna lose one of the two, Elliott or Jones, maybe both. If you lose both, now you have a need at safety. Not only do you have a need at safety, Javon Holland's contract is up next season, and you're in a prime position late in the first to get a safety because there's a couple good safeties that are going to be in that area of the draft that you can come in and scoop in. And then at that point, it's going to be what's more of a priority. If they bring back Isaiah Wynn, if they bring back Kendall Lamb, I don't think there's that much of a need for tackle, in my opinion, especially if Armstead stays and you're able to restructure. I don't see a huge need at that point because you got 4 tackles.
And my thing is, I'm not worried about bringing Connor Williams back. To be honest, if you can get somebody in the draft, even if not, you can get a cheap free agent that can do the job. The thing is I think that we're in this position because of Greer, Brandon Shore, whoever people want to freaking blame. But at the end of the day, Chris Greer's the GM, whether he does contracts or not. If your guy's putting you in a shit position as a GM and as an organization, then you need to find somebody else who isn't. But this is where we're at. I mean, we literally got to restructure a crap ton of people or get rid of a crap ton of people, and then to bring in journeyman anyway. At this point, you might as well get Christian Wilkins and bring him back, bring Robert Hunt back. Those are the only two I would think necessities. Jerome Baker's not a necessity. Yeah, we have the injuries and stuff, but if you're going to be getting some of these, I mean, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are going to be out for quite some time, but in reality, Vic Fangio has got to be able to do this shit at some point, because when you get the guys back, are you going to pay a guy a bunch of money and then sit his ass on the bench because Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips came back?
Well, look, so I probably wouldn't pay him more than Long. Long's making about $6 million a year. That's what I would pay Baker. If you bring Baker back, you're paying him $6 million. You probably do 3 guaranteed, 3 or 3 bonus, 3 is what his salary would be. So that way you limit his cap hit. That's what I would probably bring him back at.
Yeah, but that's we got those decisions. I mean, they have those decisions to make. We got to make decisions on, again, what are we going to do as far as, we still have to entertain at least the idea of, restructuring Hill and all these other guys. But then what are you going to use that little bit of money on? And then you got to start parsing that down while still thinking about, again, you got to pay Tua at some point. You're going to have to pay Javon Holland at some point. It's just going to be an endless cycle. And unfortunately, the Dolphins have been put in a bad position with the way the salary cap has been handled.
For sure. Even like me even manipulating Manuel Agba. Agba's commanding $17.7 million this year, at least according to Sports Track. And restructuring, you can bring him down to about 10 million a year, which is where Zach Seiler is. Actually, he'd be making more than Zach Seiler at that point. You would have to restructure him significantly to get him to come down. Other than that, like guys that you could probably restructure: Alec Ingold, Jason Sanders, Durham Smythe, Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson's not even worth it. Teron Armstead's at 20 million. Tua's at 23 million. You can't restructure him unless you extend him.
Well, they could extend him, but even in that, you're still not going to bring that cap number down for this year because they've already paid that 5th-year option.
Bro,
you can extend and stretch it out like 3 years, but in reality, you're just hampering yourself in the future by doing it.
Yeah, but they're going to keep doing that, and that's how they're going to get by. Because that's how they're going to manipulate the cap.
Until it blows up in your face.
Well, it's already. But like, for instance, look, Bradley Chubb's 26.8. If you restructure, you could probably bring him down to about 12.2. Ramsey's 27. And these are estimated, obviously, through Sports Track. This is not me doing it. This is me asking them to do it. And this is kind of what they're figuring. Or at least the software is figuring. Tyreek, 31 million. You bring him down to about 19. And even that, just doing them three and Agba, you're still minus 1.8.
Yeah.
So you still gotta move. Either you gotta move X, but if you move X, it makes it worse pre-June unless you trade them. And that's why I'm thinking, trade's probably more favorable, obviously, with giving us an additional
draft pick, yeah.
Draft pick or draft capital, giving us that extra pick. I would prefer a 3rd round pick. I'm good with a 4th round pick.
I don't think with 4th round that pick. I think we'll be lucky to get a 5th.
No, I think
out of X, if they know we're going to release him anyway, why would they give us a high draft pick?
Because you're only going to pay him that $16 million rather than allow the free agency to command a new contract for him.
But in all honesty, it would be better if another team allowed us to fucking cut him and renegotiate with him because he didn't have a great year last year.
He didn't have a bad one either. He just didn't have a pick.
Well, it's not about that. I'm saying injury-wise,
Look, bro, if he goes to a division like the NFC North, he'll be okay.
I mean,
if he goes to a division like the North, he'll be okay. Especially if he plays for a team like Minnesota. He's in the dome. Brian Flores, he had his best year was under Brian Flores. That is the team to target. Another team, Pittsburgh. Those are the 2 teams to target for Xavier Howard. And you can get a 4th for him. This is not Madden talking.
No, I know. I was just saying I don't know though. I think with the injury and him not having a stellar year, that's going to be hard for a lot of teams to pallet at $16 million a year.
Yeah, but you're talking about $4 million. You're talking about a 4th round pick, bro. It's not like you're asking for a 2nd round pick. They missed their opportunity 2 years ago to trade him.
Yeah, I'm aware. I know. Because, I mean, at that point, you should have and not paid him that huge-ass contract because now you're eating it. And it's the same thing.
We're still eating Byron Jones. Byron Jones is $10 million.
That's what I'm saying. We're fucking... Yeah, we're still eating all these big-ass contracts.
What we have in dead cap? We have in dead cap... Byron's 10 million. Elijah Higgins 100. The biggest, you're a little over $10 million in dead cap space.
Yeah,
you're just over $10 million in dead cap space.
But the whole point in that is again, it's how many times have we done these contracts where we still end up paying a shit ton of money for a guy that's not even here anymore. And then we just keep getting new ones, and at some point the salary cap comes back to bite you in the ass. It just does.
It's true.
you can only kick the can down the road for so long before when you kick it, there's no more road to kick it down.
It's true.
And unfortunately, I feel like, I get it. You were in win now mode. You wanted to go out and get these guys and make your run. But when you can't even win a fucking playoff game, and now you can't win a playoff game and you're stuck in cap hell.
I'm telling you. So now we're negative 41. We got to figure out something. So there's a way to get out of it, dude. It's just a lot of maneuvering. Trading away that fat, right? Trimming that fat out. I don't really see a need for 3 quarterbacks at this point, this late. If Tua's your guy, you don't need a Mike White.
I
So
agree. And what is the point of paying Mike White if you were so dead set on Skyler anyway? So
So my Skyler is just over $1 million, and Mike White is what the fuck is this douchebag? 5.5, yeah, about a little over $5 million. You save $4 million there. By just trading him away, because if you cut him, you can't cut him, because if you cut him, you're adding 4 million, a little under 4 million, and dead cap. If you trade him, you could probably trade him. Honestly, I see him. I can. Who would take him? Mike White. If I'm not mistaken, Atlanta was trying to take a push at him. When he was a free agent, Mike White.
yeah, but I mean, with Atlanta
what team
having,
need him?
now I was gonna say, I mean, you might finagle a 7th out of somebody, but that's even highly doubtful, to be honest. I mean,
I'll take a 7th.
he didn't do himself any favors when he came in and played in garbage time and fucking tossed multiple pick sixes. And I mean, I'm sorry, but he didn't do his career any favors this year.
Well, he did have that one big game against Denver.
Yeah, but I mean, by that time, Denver was freaking done, bro. Stop it.
I don't care.
Denver had given up.
I don't care. The team that would probably give up the 7th is the Jets, but I don't feel comfortable trading him to the Jets.
Are the Jets gonna go? Is he really gonna go right back to the Jets that just let him go?
They're already trading away Zach Wilson. Why not?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
he wants their backup, and that's the issue. They didn't have a good backup. That was their problem. To maintain, Mike White is better than Zach Wilson. The only reason why they kept Mike White, the only reason why they got rid of Mike White was because it was a free agent. He was going to command more money. They didn't want to pay him, and they were already intending to bring in Aaron Rodgers. And so why would you bring him in knowing that you still have Zach Wilson under a rookie contract? It's just
I understand. I'm just saying. I mean, would he be willing to go back? Is kind of what I was getting at. Not whether they were.
Who would not want to go back up Aaron Rodgers? For all we know, he's going to tear his Achilles again with that fucking turf.
Oh, my God.
Cap. What's going on, Cap?
What y'all doing, man?
What am I doing? I'm on here for another 20 minutes, and then I'm going to go pack a bowl and go night-night. Let me tell you something. I wish Todd would come around here. See, I ran Todd off because, Duke Riley, phenomenal special teams guy, can't cover. Not that good in coverage. He runs around like a chicken with his head cut off. And, that can be cleaned up with reps, right? With experience. But, maybe a full training camp as the starter, you can clean that up. But didn't look good. And then I was like, all right, you mean to tell me Channing Tindall's worse than that?
Apparently.
Channing Tindall didn't even see the playing field. So you mean to tell me Channing is worse than that?
Bro, either he's playing next season or he's getting cut. One or the other.
He should have played this season. This was the
Yeah.
opportunity to bring him out. This was the opportunity to bring Cam Smith out. And they didn't take the fucking opportunity. I don't know
man.
if it's a Fangio thing. I don't know if they didn't grasp the playbook. I don't know if they're too immature. I
That's
don't
all
know
three.
what.
The playbook thing is out the window because Cater Kilhu don't know where to fucking line up, but they played his ass all
Dude,
year.
Cater digressed so bad. It was such a so not digressed, but regressed so bad. That regression, dude, between year 1 and year 2. Oh my god. Oh my god. He's free falling so bad. Oof. So much promise, dude. So much
Yeah.
promise. Somebody who was a man-to-man corner last season, and you're getting burnt the way you're getting burnt is bad.
Yep. So I mean, I don't know what's going on with Cam Smith either, but the playbook thing, that's bullshit. I mean, because again, we even saw it again. I don't know if it's a coaching staff issue or what, but here's Cedric Wilson running onto the field and having to be told where to go. I'm like, bro, if they don't know what the hell they're doing, then they shouldn't be on the field, period. I'm sorry. That's the basic of the basic is you need to know the playbook. You need to know your assignments.
I agree. So and that's why I say there's so much. You're going to create needs now as you're moving guys around, as you're looking to, if we are looking to move on from X, which I think they are, you're going to create new needs that we didn't have going into this offseason. So by doing that, we're not going to leave Cater at number 2. They're losing Nick Needham. That's another free agent that didn't really see the field after that Achilles injury. So you have all these different, levels of needs
It's every 4 years, man.
that you're going to create, and these are where you're going to go to now. And we got to see what we decide to do. It's going to get interesting.
Every 4 years. It's like doing the cycle all over again, man. Like we're doing all the reloading all over again. The offensive line's gonna have to get reloaded. Like you said now, not to mention the situation with Wilkins. Like even Greer said it, 30 to 40% of these guys aren't coming back. Like the window is shrinking, like bad.
Really bad. What's going on, Cutler?
Color, what's up, man?
Good
I need to hear
evening,
your voice. I haven't heard you, bro. I haven't heard anything from you, Color. I need to hear your take, bro. Your thoughts.
All you got to do is go back to last off season and the season before that's content, and you get all the heart's content. You get my takes to your heart's content because ain't nothing changed. I literally don't know what to say anymore. I mean, it's all been said, and we're going to continue to hear the same reasons for everything. I just fired up. I forgot it was Tuesday. I'm a little late to the party, but I was just about to fire up Hard Knocks, and right out of the gate, they're giving us the sob story about injuries. So it's like
it's on right now,
and it's going to be
It's the fucking same thing I said, Philly, before the show. I was like, bro, I don't even want to watch Hard Knocks. It's going to be the same stupid bullshit as what it was when Jalen Phillips got injured. It's going to be some sad bullshit. Bro,
Yeah,
it's not even worth watching.
The first person they showed in when it started is Jalen Phillips, like in the montage of injuries. So yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
That's not an
rinse,
excuse
repeat.
because the
You know,
defense, the guys that are hurt on the defensive side, the defense did enough to keep us in that game. If our offense can actually convert,
it's editing, bro.
So the offense, they can spin that however the way they want, but the offense is what lost us that game. The offense is what lost us that game. What's going on?
as far as Cater Kohu, it's a real shame because the guy is the best open field tackler on our team.
It's
And it's like I mean,
is horrible.
I know, and that's the thing. With the given now, that's a case where you could say injuries, whatever, because he is supposed to be a piece to a bigger puzzle on defense. He's not supposed to be that shutdown corner. Let's be real.
Yeah, and agreed.
Thrust into that. That's not an excuse, but at the same time, I was wondering, like, how much more weight does he have to gain to be to pass himself off as a linebacker? Because his tackling skill is just too good to throw out with the bathwater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but unfortunately, and I agree with you, he was thrust in. We all know when Needham got injured last year, he was thrust into the slot corner. But the thing is he balled out last year. He played extremely well last year, and this year in a starting capacity, I was
Well,
like,
I
what
mean, it
the
hasn't all
hell?
been in a slot, but at the same time, when you need the guy, when you're talking about somebody coming around the edge and containment's been broken, I mean, he's just so solid at tackling, man. It's unreal.
Yeah, and I brought up that point a while ago, is not with Kohu, but with Brandon Jones. If you're going to keep Brandon Jones off the field, you might as well turn him into a hybrid, safety linebacker, and you can use him outside, with the injuries that were occurring on the outside. But I never really thought about Kohu. I don't know. Kohu's pretty friggin' skinny.
He's small.
Yeah, I
He's
know. He's a
5'10",
pure corner, so
194.
there's no. I'm just pipe dreaming.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's
Hear
got
you.
to be a way to save a guy like this to utilize his tackling ability.
You can do it.
Just frustrates
You
me.
have to do what they did with McCain and move him to safety. Because that's what they did with Bobby. Same thing. Bobby was a smaller nickel corner, and they moved him to free safety.
Yeah, but are you gonna? I mean, the problem with that is you're gonna take Javon Holland off the field. Or are you gonna try to compare or pair Kohu with
Holland.
Holland? But the
We're
problem with
losing
that
two
is
we're losing two safeties this
what are you
offseason.
gonna do with Brandon Jones then? You gonna sit
He's a
Brandon
free
Jones on the
agent.
bench?
He's a free agent.
Oh, he is. Oh,
He's
that's
not
right.
under
He is.
contract.
That's right.
Him or Elliott. We don't have a safety.
I mean, you could bring Brandon Jones back pretty
Now,
cheap.
when he's healthy, Brandon Jones ain't too much lesser grade tackler than Cater Kohu as far as open field tackling. He's pretty dang good at it too.
He's our best in the box safety.
Yeah, his run supportability and
And it's funny you
his
said that.
physicality are his
His strong
benefit.
suits. And it's funny that you mentioned CT. I don't know if you caught that show a couple weeks ago when we started losing our linebackers one after another. I was the one that suggested to run a nickel style defense, and with those two linebackers. And this is fucking Madden talking. You're gonna have either well, in this case, Jerome was out, so you would have had David Long and Brandon Jones at the linebacker spots, where Brandon can, obviously go out and pick up the tight end, and then you have Elliott and Holland in the back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking more so, though, using Brandon Jones as an actual edge rusher because he's so good in run support. Yeah, obviously, if the tight end was to split out, he would have the ability to cover him better than, say, a Duke Riley or a David Long Jr. So, yeah, but I was more referring to his physicality, his run stuffing ability, and his ability to blitz off the edge. He could have been a good maybe conversion to a DN outside linebacker rushing role is more kind of what I was getting at.
I agree.
But, that's part of Fangio's, need to kind of resituate based on the injuries. But we're going to be dealing with that at the beginning of next year, too, because we're not going to get some of these guys back between week 8 and week 12. So you're going to spend a good portion of the season without some of these guys.
And this is why it's not that easy just to cut Agba or move on from a lot of these guys, because you're going to have a lot of holes. And going into the season next season, we kind of went over some of the teams that we're going to be playing next season. And depending on when they schedule these teams, imagine us playing San Francisco at home with no Chubbs and no Phillips. Let's say in September. So these are teams that it's going to be tough to beat defensively, and they're going to have to rely heavily on that offense. And we haven't seen enough from Tua to prove that he can beat teams like that. So these are going to be questions coming into the season, what guys that they're going to decide to bring back, because now Christian before wasn't a priority. Christian now is a priority. Van Ginkel wasn't a priority before. Now he's a priority because you need depth and you don't have it.
You don't have nothing right now. You don't even got depth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing.
I don't know who thinks that this schedule that came out is a cakewalk. And again, I'll go over it a little bit real quick. You can't tell me in that first screen minus LA and I mean Vegas, and that depends on who they bring back as coach. Because if they bring back Pierce, it's going to be another challenging game. That's going to be a defense game because that's what they pride themselves on. You mean to tell me these are all cakewalks? These are not all cakewalks, bro. The Jets are gonna have Rodgers back. You got San Fran, you got Arizona, who obviously Kyler's back, and he's building off that injury. Next season is gonna be full go. You got Seattle, which now we got to see who they bring in at coach. Buffalo, Cleveland number one defense this season. Green Bay, the emergence of Jordan Love. You got some challenging teams here, guys. Houston, who's in the playoffs. Indianapolis, another defense strong team, and they're gonna have their quarterback back in Richardson next season. Because remember, he went out. LA, you got obviously Jacksonville and Tennessee, who we got to see who they bring in at coach. So you got some challenges there. Because the thing is, even the people that we haven't, I mean, some of these teams that we've played this season, like for instance the Titans, they're gonna come in with a completely different look. Go ahead and come back up, bud. Go ahead and come back up. Because I'm only going to be on for a little while longer. Unless White Chocolate stays and decides to close the show for me. Tennessee is the only team, that we're going to be like, all right, this is a new look because it's a new coach. So we don't know how it's going to how it's going to affect the dynamic of that team. You, by the way, Jay, if you want to come up, you probably have to come on the YouTube side and click the link because it doesn't come up on X. So you're gonna have to go onto YouTube, click that link that I dropped in the messages. Click the link. It'll take you to the YouTube side, and then you can go ahead and click the StreamYard link, and it'll allow you in. So these are things that you're gonna have to. These are teams that are not gonna be easy. It's gonna be another year where they're gonna say Miami has the hardest schedule, and you're coming in with a boatload of injuries. You're already starting off the year with a boatload less of actual. Obviously with our starters from this season, it's almost half the roster, or a little more than half the roster gone, and a lot of them are key players that contributed this year. So forever saying that it's going to be cakewalk, y'all don't know jack shit. Y'all really don't know jack shit. What's going on, Jay?
Not much. I've pretty much thrown in the towel on Tua. I didn't think he was the guy midway through the season. It'd be foolish if they give him the bag.
You got all the refugees over here, Big Philly. Dang. What's up, Jay?
So,
just another shitty fucking season, Color.
Listen, man, it was rough. There was the highlights, right? Like every season, there was a lot of highlights, a lot of high points. But it was rough. It was rough, especially the past 6 weeks of the season, especially this playoff game. And I can understand a lot of people's frustration, especially how I even opened the show. But he's not going to get paid yet. He's probably going to get paid next season. So let's see what he does. Let's see.
But why not get Kirk Cousins?
Now,
so you think they're gonna? So Big Philly, that's I just heard your take for the first time, kind of on that. You think that we're gonna strong arm into playing on his 5th year, basically?
Yeah, he already made his mind up. They probably already gave him an offer. He didn't want it. He's going to do the same thing Connor did, the same thing Christian did, and he's going to allow his play to dictate what he wants to make.
That's fair enough.
That is fair. That's fine.
To be honest with you, I think the Dolphins have all the leverage right here.
They do, because he hasn't beaten anybody. So let him. You want to prove it? Go beat San Francisco. Go win us a division and go win a playoff game, and then I will pay you $50 million.
Right now,
who did he beat this year? That was a good team, really. He only scored 6 points against Dallas. I mean, come on.
Well, I
Hey,
think that debate's over at the moment.
Dallas has a great defense. Although it didn't really show against Green Bay in their home turf. But then again, you should have expected that with
Herbert,
Dallas because Dallas
Justin
wasn't
Love,
producing anywhere.
all these guys we could have and should have had. Chris Greer's job is to find them. I think Ross is going too easy on
Look,
Greer.
man, Chris Greer is a scout. That's what he was. He knows how to scout talent. Although he's missed
But
on
does
certain
he?
guys, he's hit on certain guys as well.
I know he
Those
hit on
guys-
Godshaw in the 5th round, Vincent Taylor in the 6th round, but I mean the quarterback's the most important part. I mean,
Yeah, but the
what kind of
quarterback
dirt does he have
position-
on Ross
I mean,
or
he's been
something?
scouting talent for us since the year 2000.
Yeah, but the problem is he can scout certain types of players. He seems to be able to find the diamond in the rough at wide receiver, cornerback. But when it comes to drafting
Well, yeah.
offensive linemen,
See,
quarterbacks,
aren't those easy to identify, though? I
mean, much
if you're
easier
a wide
than
receiver that's
back.
bigger, stronger, and faster than everybody, you're likely going to be a good pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's where again I think that and I think people give Greer too much credit because again, how in the hell can you sit here and say, "Oh, but he's hit on some guys"? Yeah, but he hit on Jalen Waddle, who was a first round pick. He hit on that, like I don't. Oh, he hit on Jalen Phillips. It's
But
well,
did he, CT?
of
Because
course.
we can continue to get evaluate from a feelings perspective. But I think that Tua has taught us we no longer have to do that. So let's look at Waddle for real, like I always have been. You see what I'm saying? Because does a first round draft pick that you would call a hit, does he drop 3 footballs in a playoff game that could likely win us that game? I don't care who's at quarterback.
I agree with that. I mean, you're going to be
Does he fumble a ball against Minnesota? Does he fumble a ball against Minnesota to help lose that game?
I agree. It's the same thing with Tyreek. We got the fumble in the first Kansas City game, multiple drop the touchdown pass against the second drive against Buffalo. We would have went up 14-10 14-10, and he just drops the fucking ball. It's
they throw it to him all the fucking time. I mean, he's the best wide receiver in the league, and you know that. I understand the drops, but he's the best wide receiver in the league. He makes Tua look above average when Tua stinks.
And that's
24 years, guys. 24 years.
Career catch percentage is right around 70. So, if you target him 13 times, you're going to have about 5 drops. I mean,
I don't know. And the thing is, though, is for me, it's also, some of the things in Mike McDaniel. Yeah, you want to throw Tyreek the ball, but it's like, okay, when Tyreek goes out and you distribute the ball, you're doing better. You're having more efficient passing games. When Hill's back in and Waddle's out, you're spreading the ball around a little bit more. You have a better efficiency. Then both of them are in, and you just want to throw it to Tyreek and Waddle. And by the time you throw one pass to Chase Claypool in the end zone, it's a perfect pass, and Claypool drops it. Well, that's part of the problem is if that's, the only time you threw him the ball and you're expecting him to catch it, then maybe that's on you.
Right. But instead of that same situation throwing to the guy that has a 72% success rate and an 81% catch rate on the field, I don't care if y'all think he's a world-beating tight end or not. He had 3. He was 3 for 4 the other night, and I don't understand why one of those 3 couldn't have come in the red zone. I don't need him. Everybody's like, we need to go get a real tight end. Oh, because that's going to solve all of our problems, right? Because we don't target him anyway. And the one that we don't target now has an 81% catch rate. What are you going to get better than that?
That's like these people saying we need running backs.
I'm sorry. Durham Smythe is a great freaking tight end, But the funny thing is when we had Gesicki and Smythe, you used them as a double passing threat. Then all of a sudden, Gesicki's gone. Mike McDaniel's like, fuck it, why throw it to the tight end?
People say that he don't have the skill to get separation, and that's wrong because we sit here and look at play after play on the All-22 where Durham Smythe is wide open.
Yep. And how much
of the field well, guys.
Oh,
you all know that.
So okay, my thing is in how much
again,
of that.
Again, real quick, CT. I just wanted to say, just to conclude that, it's not that I'm saying, hey, he's a world beater, you should be targeting more. No, I'm saying if he's going to be 3 for 3 every game or 4 for 4 with minimal usage and all that, why aren't those passes coming in the red zone for a touchdown? Because we're going to get it 80% of the time.
Because Mike McDaniel is stuck on this fucking streak, post, and crosser route, and he likes that stupid Smythe.
Don't forget the fade.
In that damn crosser in the end zone, or throwing freaking stupid ass fades in the fucking end zone. It's like, oh my god! And then during the Kansas City game, I was having
in his last 6 games, Durham Smythe is 20 for 22.
Yeah, I agree.
We have no touchdown for that. None. That is ridiculous.
I agree. And part of that is, again, like I just said, these what do they call them? Low percentage plays. It's like, why are you throwing a fucking fade route?
So answer the question. How many of those last games that we lost over those 6 of Durham Smythe's last 6 games, how many of those games would we have won if he just had 1 touchdown?
Well, Kohler, you didn't get him started until what? Almost the end of the season?
Yeah, well, he was peppered in here and there, but it's never more than 3 or 4 receptions a game or targets. It's like, and it's always close to 100% catch rate, which is the reason he's got an 81.9% catch rate on the season.
Maybe there's a reason why Mike McDaniel never called plays.
And his yards per target is like 10. His yards per reception and yards per target is like 10. So it's not like he's getting dinked and dunked to get this percentage.
Which pissed me off about Mike McDaniel's comment of the Kansas City game of why weren't we throwing in the second level more?
So when people are telling me why do we get away from the run on 3rd and 2 when we got a guy that's 80% for 10 yards? If you throw him the ball, I don't need to run the football there. It's 2 freaking yards.
And that's what I'm saying. That's where I got frustrated is when we saw the film, we see Durham Smythe open. Tua's freaking looking at a bubble screen on the other side. And I'm like, why are we flashing back to freaking Adam Gase and fucking bubble screens? Like, what are we doing? Why are we not actually running real?
Every time somebody like me brings up Durham Smythe, they think I'm trying to champion him like he's Mark Andrews or something. We don't need him to be Mark Andrews.
Reliable, and if he can,
somebody to throw him the dang football.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Mike McDaniel has kind of schemed him out of the passing game, and it's frustrating.
I don't think it's more that people think that it's a need in the sense that we need to find a starting tight end. I think it's more to find somebody to pair with him. I thought that Hill was serviceable. That the tight end, the rookie tight end we brought in, Tyler Croft obviously didn't do anything, didn't even meet expectations, didn't really even see the field. Who we brought in last offseason, just sat there, waste of a bench player, but a player that I would kind of want to see transition, Chase Claypool. Why can't we transition him and let him play tight end?
Because you ain't going to throw it to him anyway. So
yeah, but he's a physical wide receiver. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. The dude is built like a tight end.
So is Durham.
Put on 15 pounds.
No, Durham's the starter. I'm not disagreeing there. I'm saying the pair with Durham. I'm not saying.
Oh, I understand. I'm just saying. I'm not coming at you, Big Billy. I'm just saying it's like if we apply Occam's razor, which is the least amount of assumptions, why don't we just throw to our tight end that we have?
Yeah.
Because Mike McDaniel fucking outsmarts himself, and it's starting to fucking get old. It's like he thinks his sit there and go, all right, they think I'm gonna run, so I'm gonna run it because they think I'm gonna pass it, but really I'm running it, and it's like, just fucking throw to the tight end or run the fucking ball in the red zone. Why do we continue to do these stupid bubble screens or this same crossing route over and over or fucking fades? You're wasting the down. You might as well just run the fucking ball.
It just looks pretty. That's why.
But it's stupid if it can look pretty, but if it doesn't fucking work, then what the fuck are we doing?
It's true. So look, I'm gonna go through the room one by one, real quick, because I'm gonna end the show soon. I'm gonna get ready for bed here. I'll start with UCT. Priority free agent re-sign. Who's your priority out of the 27 guys?
I think Robert Hunt, or no, it's got to be Christian Wilkins, but that's a trick question. If we can afford Wilkins, I want Wilkins back. If we can't afford Wilkins, then we have to have Robert Hunt back.
I think Robert Hunt is probably the biggest need at this point at the guard. You need to keep continuity within the offensive line, and he is a big piece of that continuity. So I do agree there, and the same goes for Christian. Christian there's a lot of continuity there between obviously him and Zach and that interior defensive line. Not only that, he helps, position Bradley Chubbs and Jalen Phillips in certain situations to be able to create separation and allow them that single one-on-one coverage, one-on-one matchup to attempt to overcome and get a sack. So I think those are two good points. Those are two best, I think, free agents. Cutler, who do you have as your number one priority re-sign within our current free agent list?
What was that, Big Philly? Was that for me?
Yeah. So CT mentioned Robert Hunt. Christian is number one. If you can't afford Christian, Robert Hunt. So who is your priority in if you're Chris Greer, what is your priority in re-signing with this current free agency list between the 27 guys we have on that list?
That's a great question because I was actually going to kind of bring it up earlier with what I was just looking at. We were talking about Kader Kohu, and I was just looking at happened to bring up a list of missed tackle percentages on the team. And, I just noticed, and let me pull it back up real quick because I don't want to be speaking of the wrong players in the wrong order, but give me just a second. Boom, boom. Okay. And
oh, wow.
Go
Breaking
to
news, Falcons interviewed Jim Harbaugh.
Wow. Well, so first of all, I mean, I don't know where we're at. I mean, the guys you mentioned.
So I mentioned all of them. So it's Savon Ahmed, Eli, Jake Bailey, Jerome Baker, Braxton.
Well, Eli, I'm not worried about. Jerome Baker,
No.
I'm not too concerned about.
Braxton, Justin Bethel, Elijah Campbell, Chase Claypool, River Craycraft, Raekwon Davis, Deshaun Elliott, Jonathan Harrison, Robert Hunt, Brandon Jones, Tyler Croft, Kendall Lamb, Calvin Munson, Andrew Van Ginkel, Christian Wilkins, Connor Williams, Cedric Wilson, and Isaiah Wynn.
Okay, so as far as defense goes, I would prioritize defense because it's obvious if we're gonna mess around and continue with the debacle on offense, then we obviously have to wrap up as many defensive guys as we can. And the first thing I would look to because of our problems the last 10 seasons with tackling and mistackling and all that. And CT knows that I'm always screaming about missed tackles and all that. I would first start by pulling up this list right here and looking at the missed tackle percentage and start with the lowest numbers of people that had a good sample size of games and start trying to make sure those guys get re-signed. are for the guys that have a large sample size. So I'm throwing out. Obviously, there's 5 guys with 0%. Obviously, Cameron Good, Ethan Bonner, Kelvin Joseph, Cam Smith, Perry Nickerson. Those guys didn't play hardly at all. So obviously they're going to have. I'm going to throw them out. So the next guy, the lowest missed tackle percentage on our team, is Jalen Phillips at 2.3%. The next lowest is Raekwon Davis with 3.4%.
He's conveniently a free agent, so then he walks.
Yep, and then a guy who's kind of mid sample size, Justin Bethel, comes in at third at 5.0%.
He's gone.
Deshaun Hand.
And by the way, that most likely is because he runs punt returns and
Right. Oh, special. Right, he probably gets a lot on special teams.
Yeah, so those
I
missed
got you.
tackles are probably on special teams.
Sure. Then you got Deshaun Hand at 5.6%.
Yeah, he's a tackle.
And then none other than Christian Wilkins at 5.8%, which is really low for our team. Elijah Campbell at 6.3. He's whatever. Then right behind him, Zach Sealer, 7.4%. Javon Holland, 7.5. Andrew Van Ginkel, 9.2. Deshaun Elliott, 9.9. Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker. Well, maybe we do want to save Jerome Baker. David Long and Jerome Baker are tied at 10.3%. Eli Apple at 11.5. Jalen Ramsey, 12.0. Melvin Ingram, 12.5. Didn't play much for us this year. Brandon Jones, the next notable, 12.7. Ogba, 13.0. Duke Riley, 14.3. Cater Kohu, 14.9. Bradley Chubb, 17%. So I want to lock our defensive guys up in that order of priority.
So Jerome is a priority at that point.
Well, he's where he's at on that list. You know what I mean? Like
Brandon Jones is a priority on that list.
Where's Jalen Phillips at in his rookie deal? This should be 4, right?
Yeah, this is going on 4. He's got one more.
Going on 4?
Yeah, he should be.
Okay, so we don't have to lock him up till next year, I don't think, right?
Yeah, we could do a 5th-year option next year.
Right, but we don't want to with a guy like that. We would want to lock him up midway through this year or end of this year.
So I guess your number 1 then would be Brandon Jones because he's the highest rate with
Christian Wilkins and Sealer.
Yeah,
but they're already under. Well, yeah, Christian Wilkins.
Christian's
Sealer's already good. We're good to go with him. But that's the problem. You see, they're right neck and neck with each other. Sealer has one more sack on the season, yet Wilkins is trying to command double the money. And it just doesn't make sense. Even if he did.
Well, if Siler was smart, if Siler's free, if Siler was a free agent, he'd be doing the same thing Christian's doing.
Right, and he didn't have the clout to do it last year. Now he does.
Now he does.
But he kind of did. That's how he got to us in the first place. Remember, he balled out at Baltimore.
He's underpaid. So he's underpaid by about $7 million, in my opinion. We should be paying him $17 million a year.
Right. And for those that think that Wilkins brought him up, okay, fair. So if Siler's $10 million,
the scheme does that.
Right. But even if Siler's $10 million and Wilkins brought him up, well, that's double the money he's worth? No. So give Wilkins 15. You know what I mean? Like you got one less sack out of the guy.
100. We'll move on then. Jay, what you got?
This is what I got. It doesn't matter unless they get a new quarterback. Tua is not going to do anything.
The quarterback is not an option at this point, whether we like
it. To me, after 24 years, it's your channel, bud. But after 24 years of not winning a single game in the playoffs, we're the new Detroit Lions. Tua's garbage. It won't matter.
I don't disagree, but unfortunately, we, the fans, do not have any say in what we want at that position.
I just,
Damn, I sound
I'm
like
being
an idiot.
honest with you. I'm not gonna lie. It won't matter so long as Tua is here, and it bothers me because we just had. Well, we've been having tons of quarterbacks. It was Tannehill for 7 years. It was Dante Culpepper for 2 years. AJ Feely, Fiedler. I just can't take this anymore.
Sage Rosenfeld, Pat White.
Yes, I
And
know.
send him that
It's
article,
just
Big Billy. Send him that article from that guy at USA Today that was talking about the NFL exec that was talking to the Athletic.
Yeah, they're saying that they would not be. Well, there's actually two
Well,
articles.
it's not that the point of the article is not really to tell Jay that there's light at the end of the tunnel because the NFL executives think we should move off to it. I mean, anybody can say that. And who are these NFL executives? So I don't hold any water to that. But the article explains how and why Kirk Cousins would be a great option for us
I don't
and
see
trading to it.
him.
And the article makes a lot of sense as far as the back
The
end. We're not
problem.
looking
I
at
think we're gonna
upgrade.
get him.
Hold
I
on.
think this is a
Hold on.
smoke screen.
Oh, hold on. We're not looking at upgrade here when we're talking Kirk Cousins. We all know he chokes in the big games too.
That's
in the
what
big
I'm
moments.
saying.
Well, he
dude.
doesn't
We're
choke as
getting
much as
hold
Tua.
Let me, if I could be allowed to finish.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
The article makes it very clear that's not what the play would be. It would be accepting that you don't have a guy that can do that, and saying, okay, move off of Tua, trade him, bring Cousins in, because if Cousins can't, which we all know he won't, you know what I mean, finish the job, that's okay, because if both of them, if either one of them were going to choke, it would hurt us less on the back end with a Cousins contract than it would Tua's extension and all that.
Right.
Because of the injury that Cousins is coming off of, they're not expecting him to command big money, like huge quarterback money.
I would have to see what they. And again, it still doesn't solve our cap issue. So, and you have 2 on the books for 24, so it doesn't really.
Right.
So that's not really. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But read through the article. It makes a very cogent point about. It's not a matter of if you were to do something with Cousins. It has nothing to do with trying to upgrade there. It's accepting what you have and saying this guy offers better benefit on the back end when it comes to the contract.
Right, I feel you.
Big Philly, I wanted to say this to you. You don't think if some little pisshead here on this channel can figure it out, you get it. Most fans are getting it. You don't think the players get it? They're wasting their careers. They're not going to want to come here. Consequently, Miami's going to have to overpay
Well,
the
apparently
players.
Tyreek don't get it, but I don't want to drag out that conversation. I just wanted to say, apparently
Well, Tyreek just wants to get the ball. He wants to get numbers. If he was not injured this year, he probably would have gotten 2,000 yards. That's all he cares about.
Well, if he got 2,000 yards, you wouldn't be in the situation where, because that means he would have played the full Tennessee game, and we probably would have won that game rather than lose that.
Yeah, and we also, he, according to him, we're being impatient.
He doesn't realize that we're 20 years impatient, but okay. So
yeah, and
you're talking about most of my, my childhood.
And again, even if he was right in saying that, Big Philly, that is rich coming from a guy, a millionaire, who can sit there and, oh yeah, well, it sucks we lost, and this is my game, and I love winning, and I'm competitive, but you know what? It didn't happen, so I'm gonna go take my $30 million and go to Cancun and have a good time and forget my worries.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't
That's
have
what
that
they all
ability.
do. They all go on vacations,
Nobody's
lavish
giving me a
lifestyles.
rebate for the money I spent on tickets this year.
Yeah, I know. Us fans, we always get fucked over. It's awful.
Well, Tyreek needs to remember that when he's sipping on my $300 margarita.
Those two after Baltimore, didn't I'm paraphrasing, we were right where we want to be, or is that verbatim? I mean, what the F's with that?
The way I look at it, man, with Baltimore, they won one. Baltimore had a phenomenal, like Lamar was having a phenomenal year. The way they were able to light up this defense, because the defense didn't help us in that game either. So that was a mix. That Baltimore game, that was a tough game to swallow. I think the biggest game the biggest disappointment was that first KC game. That was kind of like my turning point. Like, all right, dude, like this dude is, especially that final drive with the fumble. He fumbled. This is the third game that he fumbled in the final drive.
He's notorious for that.
Yeah, so um, that was my turning point. Obviously you saw it again against Kansas City. You saw it again
Is that
against
against the
Buffalo.
Titans?
Yeah, so against the Titans, against Buffalo, because Buffalo, that was another game that we should have won. Josh Allen gave us multiple opportunities to steal that game, and we didn't take advantage of the opportunities given. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, I don't disagree that we need to look for other options. Although, for me, again, it's more of they're not going to listen to us thing, but definitely considering drafting a quarterback in that first pick, the 25th overall pick. I like Bo Nix. I think Michael Penix is another good option. He is a lefty. And somebody was talking about the continuity with going back to right-handed throwers since you kind of had a left-handed thrower. I don't really see there's not a lot of issue with that. You're just changing your tackles for the blind side. But none of they are going from left to right rather than right to left. But either way, Penix would be another option. He's a left-handed thrower if you believe in that type of conspiracy. Or obviously Bo Nix, who's it's a crossbreed between Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, in my opinion, because he's athletic and he has a big arm. That would be a great option to kind of light a fire under Tua, because you do need an option in the event that he decides that he is going to command way too much money and Miami's not willing to pay it. So because if he does have another year where he's not beating these 500 teams, Miami may not want to pay him $50 million. They may want to pay him 35, 40, and he may want to go out and test free agency. So you need to have all those ducks in a row, because right now, as we sit, your option most likely would be not even Mike White. It'll be Skylar Thompson.
And Big Philly, you bring up a good point about the $50 million and what the Dolphins are willing to pay and what Tua would try to command and his people would try to command. We're all sitting here complaining about Chris Greer, and some rightfully so. People make great points, and I agree with a lot of them. And I agree he has made some good moves too. But we're all sitting here talking about the same things with Chris Greer. What is it when it comes to the quarterback? He had 3 opportunities last year. We didn't cash in on either of them. And partly was a lot of people were saying, look, the deal has to be right? Well, we're sitting here going, no, because with all the injuries we suffered this year, would it have really hurt us to lose a few players to pay a guy like Lamar Jackson?
I'm talking about a whole different team with Lamar right now. Especially
really,
with the way Lamar came
but
out.
my point is, Lamar ended up getting $176 or something, right? Deshaun got the big money. Obviously, nobody would have paid that. Okay, but when it comes to like the other options that were entertained,
kind of crazy though, Color, right? They did pay Deshaun, and he was out for the fucking season, and they still made the playoffs.
Right, but my whole point is, if Chris Greer is too frugal, and the situation has to be right for him to pay a guy like Lamar Jackson the money that Lamar got, which wasn't much in the long run, what everybody expected. What makes anybody think he's going to pay that money to Tua?
He won't. I think it's a smokescreen.
If you don't,
they're going to try to trade him for a third or second rounder.
If that's the case, then you need a draft like this. That's what you need.
Well, they need to get a veteran, or next year's over.
Do you really replace a Tua with a similar type of Tua? Like, that's the issue also.
Look, I'm not saying Michael Penix. I prefer, like I said, Bo Nix.
But that's my point. If we weren't willing to give $175 million to a guy that is clearly better than Tua, why would Chris Greer all of a sudden splurge his money around like that and give Tua that money?
Sure.
Might be Daniel Coach
and has no idea what he's looking at.
Unless they're trying to pay him under Daniel Jones money.
I think 100%.
But if it's because his eye test is bad on Tua, then the people complaining about Greer are right. Get him out of here.
I'm telling you, bro. This is going to be the year that if we don't take the opportunity to draft a guy like Bo Nix, or make a run at a quarterback in this draft, and Tua commands that 50 and Chris Greer doesn't pay, boy, the heads are gonna fucking turn, because we're gonna be left with just Skylar Thompson, because not even Mike White would be on this roster at that point.
Well, people are bringing up the definition of insanity, and I saw a Tua sycophant today literally try to argue and play semantics and tell the person that look it up in the dictionary. That's not the definition of insanity. And we forget that we're only bringing that up because that was Stephen Ross's definition with his own mouth, verbatim, in a press conference.
My thing with Steven is that Steven Ross is a huge Dolphins fan, right? He's a millionaire, but he was a Dolphins fan first. And my thing is, with all, I don't know about you, Cutter, but with me, right? You can tell now this team is shifting towards fan satisfaction. And the reason why I know that is because I don't know about you, but I have never received so many surveys in my years as a Dolphins season ticket holder than I have this year.
That's the sign of a dying company, dude.
Dude, I've been getting surveys left and right, dude. And then I see this disgusting thing with a beloved member of this fan base in Paris Love, of Paris, I'm sorry, um, where he asked to be moved to save money, and they weren't willing to do that. You're talking about a super fan who lives, breathes, and aqua and orange. Dude had a heart attack. They even came out and said something on his behalf and sent him stuff after he had that heart attack in the off season. And they wouldn't even do these reps are horrible. My rep, I can't stand him. Um, they're horrible. You mean to tell me you don't got a 300 level with all those damn Dolphin tickets that y'all sell to opposing season ticket holders? I mean, opposing fans. And you mean to tell me that you can't find that man 2 or 3 tickets in the 300 section, in that entire section? Like, I don't know, Steven, but you're losing the fan base. And as you continue to go down this road, you're going to start losing a lot more people. And it's going to be like it was the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, where it's been a complete flip. And every home game is an away game.
This never used to happen in the 90s. This organization it's become corrupt and it's bastardized.
No,
by,
a lot of it. Look, I will say this though. I'm not upset that other fans come to our stadium. It's Miami. You get what I'm saying? Like even when we played Buffalo there at the end of the year, and we were overrun by Bills Mafia, and the Dolphins tried to spin it that it's not going to be that bad, and that it was this and that, and it wasn't. It turned out to be worse than what they probably thought, because there was a whole lot of blue. Same thing against Dallas. When Dallas came down, it was like 50-50.
we're turning into LA.
You know,
The demographics are changing. We're turning into LA.
They need to.
But they don't seem to have a problem winning Super Bowls.
Yeah. Well, the Chargers.
Who's that?
Rams for sure.
The Rams. The Rams
The
have
Rams.
the
Well, the
same problem
Rams,
the
they got
Chargers
one.
do.
That's
Nobody
right.
wanted the Rams back in LA.
And they're winning Super Bowls. The team that they didn't want is the one winning Super Bowls.
Well, they won one.
Still, but they're in the playoffs now.
It's a big deal, yeah.
But they didn't know they run with the playoffs. So,
and now Detroit won a playoff game. So again, we're like Detroit.
Detroit was the favorite coming into the season to win that division.
Bro, there's a game being played this week in a divisional round of the playoffs between the Buccaneers and the Lions.
And bro, the Lions are going to whoop
both of which feature former interim head coaches of the Miami Dolphins,
Yep. Todd Bowen,
both
Dan
of
Campbell.
which feature 2 first overall draft picks that were both said to be busts, especially when comparing to Tua over the last 2 years.
And Jared Goff has already been to the Super Bowl.
Well, besides that, and Baker Mayfield has won 2 playoff games
Baker's better than Tua.
with 2 different teams.
Baker's
All
better
right.
than Tua.
I gotta end the show. I was
See
trying to
you
see if White
guys.
Chocolate would come up. I'll pick this back up next week. I appreciate all you guys coming up because it is getting late, and I'm trying to handle some stuff here. So, I
Thanks,
appreciate
Billy.
all you guys coming up.
Always
Cutler.
good talking to you, man.
No, as always, Cutler, you're always welcome here. Thank you guys on the chat.
By the
Ralph,
way, Big Philly and I
Ryan.
always seem to find ourselves walking in the crowd back to the parking lot after every game. For some reason, we just like have a magnet or something.
Dude, it never fails, bro. I always look around for you now. It's like, let me just make sure he's not behind me. So it's like, but I appreciate everybody in the comment section. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, guys. When we reach 500 subscribers, I'm giving away a Nick Needham autographed jersey. I would like to give it away before free agency. Thank you, Bass. Night, love to see you, man. Bass 305, I appreciate you, bro. Make sure y'all subscribe, man. When we get to 500, I'm giving away a free jersey. When we get to 800, I'm giving away another free jersey. Xavier Howard, also autographed and JSA certified. And lastly, I'm going to give away a Mark Andrews autographed jersey for the Baltimore Ravens once I reach 1,000 subscribers.
Big Philly, what are you giving away when the Dolphins finally win a playoff game?
What I would give away, I don't know yet. If the Dolphins finally win a game, maybe a Jalen Waddle autographed helmet, maybe. But you got to subscribe either way.
A jar of color tears.
A jar of color
I would,
tears.
but yeah, man. So make sure you guys subscribe. There's a lot of good stuff coming. I got some interviews already lining up this offseason. I have one that's entering the 2024 draft. He's a linebacker from TCU. I'll announce it once I confirm a date. So I already have a couple guys. Shaq Lawson might be coming on this show. I'm waiting to confirm that for the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, they're still playing in the playoffs, so that's not 100% yet.
Oh, God, y'all going to have a shit show on the Dolphins?
No, remember, Shaq used to play for Miami, so
yeah.
But definitely I would love to hear his experience here. I'd love to see the differences between those two organizations, although those are different times. When Shaq was here, different coach. But still, nonetheless, and I get it. He's a rival, but he's a free agent again this year. That is an option also for Miami to bring him back if they wanted to. It would be the great opportunity for them to pull the trigger, especially with all the injuries we have and add depth at that defensive end position there.
You don't like Justin Houston and Bruce Irvin?
Well, I don't. Well, Justin Houston
Let me stop
lost the
trolling,
locker
man.
room.
Let me fucking stop.
Yeah, he lost the locker room, man. Going to party with KC after we lost.
Buddy thought he was going into a playoff game.
Yeah, so but then again, Justin Houston spent a long time.
Yeah, he's like family over there too, though.
Yeah, so you can't really get upset.
And you just got to the Dolphins. Like I don't even know why some fans are tripping out. Like
I
barely played
wouldn't
like
really.
5 days.
Right. That's like a Roman being upset over a Gothic mercenary that goes back home and parties with his family.
Yeah, like he's been there for years. He has relationships with these guys. He's only been with the Dolphins for a couple days. I wasn't too upset with that. I didn't really care. I didn't read into the article either that mentioned it because, dude, you were with that team for 5 days. How is that going to build any camaraderie?
You didn't even know the playbook yet, bro. Like,
right, like there were Vikings serving in Constantinople at the Emperor's bodyguard. I'm sure they went back home to Scandinavia and partied with their family.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it. I didn't care about that.
Bro's playbook was get to the quarterback. That's all we got for you.
Literally, him and Irving was the same. So, I can see that from Melvin Ingram. Melvin Ingram spent time there.
Bro, he looked so out of fucking shape, man. God.
Well, I mean, he got brought in late. He probably was done. He probably was like, all right, I'm gonna retire. If a team needs you, I'll come in during the playoffs, and that's it. And that's what happened.
And yet he was still up on that missed tackle, or like low on the missed tackle percentage, bro.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So,
He's a dog.
but he did get a sack, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, against he got something, or maybe it was a tackle for a loss. I think it was a tackle for a loss. But anyways, I don't care about that too much. But I'll pick this back up next week on Tuesday. We'll pick it back up and continue. We have a long off season. Definitely we got some scouting to do because we do have a nice first round pick this year, unlike last year. And we got to see who Chris Greer is going to bring in. We have some history there with obviously with offensive linemen in the first round. I know in years past I said, hey, I don't want you drafting a lineman in the first round, especially after Austin Jackson. But look how he turned out this year. He's definitely on his way to earning a big contract next season if he continues that because he has one more year to do it. So yeah, I want to see who they're going to bring in. So let's do some scouting, have a little fun doing it, and let's see where the dominoes fall. Right. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna call it a night. Good night, y'all. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate you, Cutler and Jay Miami Talk.
Pleasure, man.
TG, White Chocolate. I don't know where you disappeared to. You probably fell asleep. You've been backstage for 2 hours.
I'm
And
surprised Kohler's still
Tyler,
awake.
huh?
I'm surprised Kohler's still awake over here.
I know. I'm going to bed. I'm getting too old for this. But all right, guys. Y'all have a great night. Deuces.